Hello guys, in this video I will show you the Revenant power build for War vs World, more specifically the Herald. So on Devastation we take unsuspecting strikes, so you can do 10% more damage to enemies above 80%, which is supposed to happen a lot since you probably are the first one to hit the enemies from range, since you have 1200 range, so you will hit them with your hammer when they are full HP and you will deal 10% more damage to them. Then we take Assassin's Presence, which means 150 ferocity, so 10% more damage when you crit, you and your party. And then we take Swift Termination, which is one of the best traits for Revenant, since your main goal is to do damage, and 20% more damage to enemies below 50%. So we have 20% more damage on enemies below 50% and 10% more damage on enemies above 80%. Then on Invocation we take Rising Tide. So when you is similar to Scholar Rune 6th bonus. So when you're above 90% HP, you will deal 7% more damage. Then here we have Gain Might when you grant yourself Fury, and you gain yourself Fury with your Facet of Darkness passive. So yeah, it's quite good might, only works in combat. And then we have Roiling Mists, which a game changer trait, since it increases your critical chance you gain from Fury from 20 to 40, so the 100%. As you can see here, 60, I activate Fury, 100, so it gives 40% Fury critical chance. Then on Herald we take Rising Momentum. This increases some of your a bit your movement speed. The other traits are kinda worthless on full power gears, so a bit movement speed is always nice to catch up with your allies if you stay behind. Then Shared Empowerment. When you apply a boon to an ally, you also apply might to nearby allies. So since you give many boons with Fury, might and swiftness, also protection, you can give regeneration, so you can give might with a cooldown of 1 second. You give one other stack of might every second. Then here we can take Draconic Echo. Your Facet passives affect additional targets and you retain them for a duration after using their consumabilities. So when you use your Facet, like let's say these ones, you will still benefit from the passives. You see the Fury keeps pulsing for a bit, and also let's see the protection, you see here is ticking out, and now it still ticks because of this trait. And also you affect 5 more people, so it means 10 targets with your passives, which is really huge instead of 5. It's really, Fury is the most important buff you can give, since it's 20% more critical chance, and every DPS class needs this to cap critical chance and do more damage. So the equipment, we have Berserker on the helm, Berserker, everything is Berserker on the armor except the shoes. The shoes you get Valkyrie for this, so some extra vitality, since you don't need to overcap critical chance. You already reach 100 with my build, with my setup. Then on hammer you have Berserker with Force Sigil and Accuracy Sigil. I forgot, on the armor you use Scholar Rune. Then I like to run Staff, since it's really, I will explain later, it's really useful for your survivability, since you're melee basically. So you run Bloodlust to stack up more damage, so I recommend to use this in fights. And then Superior Sigil of Energy. Once you have full Bloodlust stacks, I recommend to always run Hammer unless you are dying, so you can swap to Staff, and I will explain the skills later. Then we have Marauder on an accessory and on a ring and on the amulet. Rest is Berserker. One ring is Berserker, one accessory is Berserker, and the backpack is Berserker. I recommend to use Mighty Word vs Word Infusion for extra power, it's like 90 power. And now let's see the skills. Hammer, auto attack. The auto attack is really strong, but it's a bit slow and it's a projectile, so it's not really useful since there are bubbles, reflects a lot, like in blob versus blobs, so you must be careful to not kill yourself with this. Then we have Coalescence of Ruin, it's your main skill of damage. It's a huge AoE, a bit slow, but it really reaches a long distance and the damage is very, very strong. Then we have Hammer 3. This makes you invulnerable for the duration and evade every attack. Not invulnerable, but you will evade attacks during it. So you can use it as a panic button if needed. Like you have a lot of enemies on you, you can do this, or on yourself, and so you dodge every attack. Spell 4 is a projectile mitigation. It's not really useful. I almost never use it. But you can if you see you lack projectile mitigation. The 5th skill is a slow knockback, 2 seconds, almost 0 damage as you can see since the nerfs, and yeah, it can be used to fill while you have no other CDs ready. Then we have the Face It of Light has healing skill, which I recommend only to use not the passive but just the active when you need. So every damage you take will become healing for 3 seconds, so you are immortal for those 3 seconds. It's really your lifesaver. Then we have the Facet of Darkness, the Fury one. I recommend to leave it always on, never use it. It's quite useless to use it. You only lose Fury on you and on yourself and on your friends. Then we have the Facet of Strength for the Might. I recommend using it when you are sure to hit it, since it gives you a burst of strength, as you can see, 7% damage if you hit at least a target with this. It's a big AoE around you too, so it's pretty easy to use. Use it when you are sure, so you get the 7% damage, like on a Downet. Then you have the Swiftness ones. I recommend to use it permanently as the Fury one, but this one has a pretty strong active, which is some damage, a big damage actually, in 3 pulses, and it's really strong to clip the downed. Like you have some downeds here, some downed enemies, you can drop Hammer 2, and then let's say the commander moves, you drop this behind and you keep going following the commander and the downed gets clipped. Then we have the Facet of Chaos, which applies protection. It's really energy costly, so you shouldn't be using it as passively, but just the active, which is a strong knockback to enemies and also gives 5 seconds of super speed. So when the commander asks for super speed from Revenants, he used this, and it really changed the fight, since you can outrun the enemies, chase the enemies, or escape with it. Then we have this stuff. The stuff it has a quite strong auto attack. It's melee, and it should be used only if you have nothing else, because the main skills we have on stuff are skill 5. It's a pretty slow knockback with almost 0 damage, but it's 8 number of impacts 8. It's a big knockback and can really remove many stacks of stability from enemies, and also gives you an evade of 1 second, which can save your life. Let's say you are very low HP, you have nothing left, you do this, and 1 second you can still get healed by allies while dodging attacks, so it's quite good. The skill 2 is some damage in front of you. It's one of the skills you need to use, and also heals and give weakness to enemies. Here you go, around you, and heals more if you hit enemies. Then we have another panic button as let's say as the stuff 5. You press the skill tree and you block every attack which is coming towards you. It does some damage at the end, but almost worthless, but it's still 2 seconds of blocks. And then we have the Staff 4, which removes 2 condition from you and from some targets and from some other 5 targets, and also heal. So yeah, Staff is very defensive cooldowns. I recommend to swap to Staff when you are really struggling staying alive, and you use it like you use 3, you can block, and in the meanwhile the allies will heal you. Then you can use 5 to catch up or to dodge even more, use 4 to remove some condition from you and your allies and to heal up. The skill 2, same stuff. Then we can swap to Dwarf.